Hello, I'm Dr. Maha Gingrich. Coming up on Charlotte, a city of international success, I will be interviewing one of the topmost chefs, Mickael Blais. Welcome to Charlotte, a city of international success. I'm Dr. Maha Gingrich. Today, I have the privilege of interviewing one of the 10 topmost chefs in the Charlotte region. That is Mickael Blais. Chef Blais, welcome to our show.
Thank you. Good to have you.
It's wonderful to have you on the show. And also, I know that that's not how you pronounce your name. It's not Mickael. Is it Mickael? Am I right?
Mickael.
Mickael.
French word Mickael, yeah.
Well, I like that better.
Well, thank you.
And also, you are from a very popular and historic town in France. Am I right?
Yeah, it's a medium town, like 250,000 people, named Le Mans. For most Americans, we pronounce Le Mans, but this is where there's a 24 hours car racing, big car racing, and a pretty old town, like over than 2,000 years old. So,
how was it growing up in that town?
I mean, you know, it's medium term, like I say, so not too much to do. So, you know, you have to have friends and kind of like, you know, go fishing and, you know, to have fun or ride bicycle, like most kids, you know, like to do when they grow up, you know. But it's a beautiful town. I love his story, so great town for that. So,
you know, I was wondering, you know, you becoming master chef now, but is that what your dream was while you're growing up?
No, actually, I would like to be a cabinet maker when I grow up.
Cabinet maker?
Yeah, and because I was not really, you know, school was not really my thing. So one day I have to sit down with my dad and we start to have a nice discussion and ask me what I want to do in the future, you know. And I told him, you know, I want to work right now, and I was only like 15, so we kind of talk about, you know, different things, but he always told me in life everybody's gonna have to eat, so why you don't want to be a chef? Because like most
I like that, in life everybody wants to eat, why don't you? I like that.
Because a lot of people, you know, they grow up, say, oh, I used to see my grandmother cooking, my mother cooking. Me, you know, I think I was more like, you know, happy to be outside and play with my friends and looking at my mom, my grandmother cooking, so it became more like my ways, and I was, you know, try to know what I'm going to do when I would grow up. So that's more like, you know, the way everything come after this discussion, and decide to go to culinary school and work in a restaurant on a weekend before to see if I'm going to like that. And actually,
did you think of going? And you said your father.
Yeah, my father.
That was your father's advice asking you to go. That was more
father's advice to, you know, go to work in a restaurant industry. So
he probably was worried about you. Because you wanted to be a cabinet maker.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything turned pretty well, so, you know, you know, you have to have the passion for it and not be worried about working a lot of hours, but, you know, at this time when you're young and everything, you have plenty of time in your hands, so, so that was a good thing about it.
So you went to culinary school there?
I went to culinary school in France for like 3 years.
Wow, 3 years. And after that, now, do you train under anybody when you finish school, or how does it work? What's the structure
when I was done
there?
with culinary school, I have to go to military service for a year. And straight after that, I went back to my hometown. I tried to work for the biggest restaurant, most famous hotel.
Oh, wow.
Who was partnered with a very big palace in Paris. And from that, I got asked to be transferred to this palace.
So I remember that that's a beautiful palace.
Beautiful place, actually. It's kind of like a sign for my future. It's just next to the U.S. Embassy, so that was kind of like a sign for my future, I guess.
It is a sign for your future. Wow. So, so did you train under the chef at the palace?
I work under the chef of the palace, who was very famous in France.
Wow.
It was really tough because, you know, you work with the best cooks you can have, you know, in a country. Try to go to this nice place, of course. And, you know, it was really hard for me to adapt myself, and so I really start on the bottom, try to work really hard. And
what is the bottom in this field?
What we call that commis. Commis at the beginning is like, you know, almost like you peel potatoes, vegetables, clean the salad, to clean the fish, chicken, everything. Because like in France, everything comes fresh, so you have to, you know, the fish, you have to catch the...
No frozen food.
No frozen food,
No frozen food, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, everything is was,
Fresh
from
and
scratch and nice and fresh.
wow.
So it was really nice.
And that's not easy either, because I would think that you need to learn safety because you're dealing with knives and, I would think there is some danger to the speed
you cut
and
yourself,
Yes.
you burn yourself a lot.
Yeah.
And with that, you learn, and next time you try to not burn yourself again and try to be very careful. But the pain comes with the job, so you have to be, you have to stand on your legs for sometimes 12, 14, 15 hours straight. So just everybody think when you're a cook or a chef, you eat very well in a restaurant, but we eat very quick, and sometimes we don't have time to eat. So
yeah.
but
we have CPCC has a culinary program.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And
really nice
baking
school.
and pastry as well. But I do know that we teach safety, and that's why I asked that question, because that is the first thing to make sure you learn to cut properly, not your fingers, and don't burn, and the heat and the distance and all that. And I would think it's a very important part of.
Well, when I started to cook, especially, it was like 22 years ago.
Yeah.
Safety was not really the concern, especially in France. You just kind of the hard way over there. So you cut yourself, okay, you put a Band-Aid, or you go to the hospital and you come back the next day, kind of like no crying. So it's just pretty hard way, but
So, of course, American Embassy was right beside you, your palace. So, how did you end up in the United States?
I guess it's one day I decided to do something totally different. Like most young kids in Europe or in France, we like to watch, American movie, and, you think, beautiful car, big house and everything. So I said, well, you know what, let's try. And so it's when I decided one day, told my family, I said, well, next week I'm going to move to the United States, so it was a big shock for everybody, but everybody was very supportive. So
Really?
yeah, so
Wow.
From where I was, straight to New York.
Straight to New York.
Straight to New York, yeah.
Now I have to ask the question. I'm sure it was not easy, because when you come, the financial side of it, how much money did you bring with you to come to New York? Because that's the first time you're coming
I
to the
sold
United
most
States.
of the few things I have, and I didn't have too much saving because
Yeah.
I like to spend money in a party when I was pretty young, and so I show up in New York with $200 in my pocket, and come to Newark.
$200?
$200, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not a lot of money when you arrive in New York.
No, that's why I asked if you came to New York.
Especially when I booked my plane, I didn't really realize I put Paris, New York, and the airplane landed in Newark when it's in New Jersey. So this was like over 1 hour away from Manhattan, where I was going.
1 hour away from where you landed.
Yeah, so $200 and try to look for a cab. And I didn't speak one word of English. So after 30 minutes of patience with the custom, I tried to find a cab, but I didn't know cab or yellow cab. I only know taxi, and I saw the writing on the sign saying taxi, and this guy yelling taxi, taxi, taxi. So I went through him. When I realized when I get to the parking, it was a stretch limousine. And I was so scared. So I was like, I'd show him the paper with the address, and he's like, oh, no problem, no problem. And later on, when I arrived in New York, over than 1 hour later, I only have $80 left in my pocket because it was costing so much money. That was like 12 years ago. $120 was a lot of money back then.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was pretty funny thinking about it now, but I was not laughing when I get over there. So.
Oh, I'm sure you did. So did you go to your boss's place directly with your stretch limousine?
Well, I didn't have any family, friend. I didn't speak one word in English.
Yeah.
Just by a friend of mine back in France, give me your address and say, show up over there, French restaurant, maybe he can give you a job. And I didn't know if I'm going to get the job at all.
Oh, wow, you're brave.
So first, I tried to go over there and talk to him for the paperwork and everything, for the process for the visa. And when I showed up over there, the owner was opening the door to a guest. And so the limousine, I don't know if I look like a French guy getting out of the limousine, but when I saw both of these hands on his face, I know something was not right. And he's like, man, I think your first hour, 2 hours in the United States, you already paid too much money for
a cab. Taxi.
So what would it cost me maybe $50 if I was taking a regular yellow cab. So So that was
Wow.
interesting.
So you worked there
I worked over there
some
for
time.
18 months. His name is François Paillard, very famous pastry chef who worked under a lot of very popular chefs. Partner with Daniel Boulud, one is a top restaurant in New York. So I was working with François Paillard the morning, and at night get a job with Daniel Boulud too. So
Oh, wow.
for like over 2 years was a long time, long hours, but I didn't have any money to, you know, like the first night I have to ask somebody as the owner if he knows somebody
Yeah.
at a room where I can stay, because find a roommate, I didn't have any place to stay, so.
Wow, yeah, because you didn't know anyone.
I
You
didn't know
didn't know
anybody.
anyone, you had no place to stay. Wow.
that was
And
pretty hard.
also the language. So how did you learn the language?
It was really, really hard. Try to buy some, go to Chinatown and find some cheap book, or is French English, and start like a 5 years old and start all the, you know, one glass, un verre, one plate, une assiette, and start like that, and try to be patient. A lot of headache, but you know, that was the harder part. It was to, I think for me, the hardest part was to learn the language, and
Yeah.
try to force myself to not try to surround myself with too many French speaking, so I can learn, because you can get, you know, lazy pretty quick if you have speak French all the time, and so it was pretty hard, but you know.
Very true. It's like an immersion. You know, we have some, you know, immersion programs and foreign language programs, and it's very, very important. Otherwise, you struggle.
It's almost like a
Struggle trying to
rebirth. I
learn.
mean, you have to, you know, I have a driver license in France, I have to do a driver license here,
Yeah.
learn English. The food was very different, because, you know, the brand are different. So, you know, you see a box, you don't know what is inside. So a lot of
That's
things,
true.
you know, you never know what you're going to get. So
Yeah.
that was kind of a challenge at the beginning, but, you know, a lot of
Then you-
hard work, perseverance, be patient, and, you know, so.
Yeah, hard work and perseverance. So how did you end up in Charlotte?
Well, I was working in New York just before September 11. And actually,
wow.
the night before, I went to the Twin Tower to have a drink with my pastry chef.
Yeah.
And the next morning, when I wake up, I get a phone call. Someone told me to turn on the TV, and it's when I saw the Twin Tower on fire and the second plane hitting the tower. So
Oh my goodness, and you were there the night before.
the night before, the restaurant was not far away from, at the time, the restaurant I was working was 10 blocks away from it. So we have to shut down part of the downtown Manhattan. So it's when I, you know, didn't know what to do for 2 weeks. So I started to dedicate my time to work for cooking for the firemen,
Oh, wow.
for the police and everything, because, you know, that's the only thing we can do to try to help, you know, the community, the people from New York, because it was pretty sad to, you know, to see something.
Yes. Wow, that I'm sure that's a wonderful deed, you know, for you to
well, you know, it was-
cook. Yeah, it just people came together and did whatever needs to be done.
Yeah, so that was a good thing. So.
So after that, that's when you had an opportunity here because things have changed in New York.
Yeah, I moved to Chicago to a French restaurant where I get my first executive chef position.
Yeah.
Well, it was really nice. I have a chance to, you know, train a movie star, to work with, you know, I would say a different crowd of people from New York. Life was feeling a little bit more like in the United States, because New York is so cosmopolitan.
Very
You almost
cosmopolitan.
don't know where you are, but when I come in Midwest, was very different, and spent 1.5 years in Chicago. And a friend of mine, actually was a chef in Chicago, told me about a restaurant inside Bank of America for French restaurant at the time was Bistro 100, and I get the position, the job over there, and come to Charlotte. I have no idea about Charlotte, the south east of the United States, and when I come, fall in love, you know, beautiful weather, people very nice and warm, so, you know, Charlotte was a good choice and good pick, and I still thank him for that, so.
Well, I also know that you had an opportunity to work with many celebrities and also teach some. And can you briefly talk about what you've done there?
Well, between New York and Chicago, I mean, I did a lot of, you know, Steven Spielberg, Neve Campbell. I did, met a friend of mine, was the executive chef for Oprah Winfrey for 20 years, Art Smith, who is a lot on TV. So we did a lot of stuff together. And the opportunity to have a movie shot inside a restaurant with James Franco. And at the time, I didn't know who he was, but he did already at the time Spider-Man 1. He did a lot. He got a lot of, you know, Golden Globe. nice, huge
Yeah.
now because it's after like 8 years. But that was a good thing. I trained him for 3 weeks and became good friends, and we're still friends after almost
Wow.
9 years. So
That's wonderful.
that was nice. Jane Seymour,
Yeah.
a lot of people I train like that. But I had a chance to cook for them, meet them. So that was really nice. Something I'm sure I will not be able to do back home in France. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's all worth it, and also Charlotte is very lucky to have you here as well. So when you came to Charlotte, obviously, you started off with Bank of America.
yeah, the Bistro 100. Yeah, it was inside Bank of America.
Inside the
yeah.
Bank of America.
Bank of America building. Yeah.
And then, I know you have worked as an executive chef in quite a few fields.
After, yeah, I moved. I was executive chef for Cosmos Cafe Uptown. With the owner Gus Gorgulias, very nice man.
Yes.
Very very nice person who be very patient, give me a lot of freedom to do what I want, and give me the opportunity to open Cosmos in Valentine. So that was really nice. So, and after that, I spent 7 years with him, and I start to to go on my own, to open my own little catering business, MB Catering, and start to cook for like political people, people from all around Charlotte, a bit from South Carolina. So good opportunity to to express myself and do what I want to do.
Well, I see culinary arts as an art. It is something that you need to be trained. That is something that you need to be creative. And what do you think is important when it comes to culinary arts? As a chef, as a cook, what are the things you need to have? Because you're creating things, right?
Well, yeah, you have to have like passion first. And I mean, it's a very hard job. Like I said, you have to stand on your legs for a long time. You work on vacation when people are on vacation, when people are off, on a weekend, holidays and everything. So it's very hard. It's very hard on stress-wise because, sometimes you can be very busy or slower, so you have to adjust your pace and everything. But that you have to have the passion and like what you want, what you do, or it's very hard to succeed in this career,
It is difficult, like you're saying, you need to stand on your feet for a long time and try to, if somebody is absent, you need to take all those jobs, make it all happen, because ultimately customer is only just waiting for the food. They don't know what's going on in the kitchen.
Yeah, they don't care if you short handle it, if you are missing people, they just come, they want to have a good time, and you have to give them a good time, And I think that I will think most chefs in Charlotte agree with me. But people think sometimes, chef, you don't work for the money because you don't make too much money. But the thing is, the biggest thing you can have is when you see your customer happy, enjoying your food, your creation, and that is what I think is very, very important, very rewarding for a chef is to have people loving what you do. So it's like a painter. He's going to spend all this time to do what you do, and when everybody's like, man, I love your painting, I want to buy your painting, and can you do more? It's the same way for us. It's just. So.
Well, the cooking and the chef shows of all this have become so popular nowadays, and people love to watch the chefs cook and then learn. Whether we do it at home or not, we would love to watch to see how are they cooking and what are they doing. And nowadays, especially food, there's a lot of awareness, because a lot of children are obese and a lot of people health issues, allergies. So. What you as a chef, what are you doing, or what are the things that need to be done in order to bring awareness to the healthy foods?
Well, what I try to do also, I like to do cooking class for adult, but also for kids, because that's the thing is I think earlier we can train our kid to eat well.
Good point.
There's a few things sometimes you can have in your house. You can have a small bucket of dirt and put some herbs or little plant of tomatoes, and your kid can take care of it. They will eat them, and it's always better to have fresh than to have frozen or canned or something like that. Processed food is really bad for you. So, and if you go and you buy food seasonal, they will be at the best taste, and they will be cheaper than, it's like if you buy strawberry right now, they're not going to taste much, and it's going to be very expensive in the winter time than if you
Okay.
buy them in the summertime. So that's what you have to try, is to play with the season, try to go to your local market,
Yeah.
your favorite grocery store, and try to buy fresh produce, And most of the time people think, if you buy something already already made, you just pop in a microwave, but it's not. It takes you a little bit time to do it, but watch your favorite show on TV and cook what you see, what you like, cookbook, and you will enjoy it more, and especially for the kid, teach them, show them, or kids, they're very interesting, very open at a young age, so they want to see what you do all the time. So I think it's the best way, good time to start to teach them about food and eating well,
And they say it has a lot to do with the palate, right? Whatever you're brought up eating is what you end up really liking.
If you develop your palate, yes, yeah.
So do parents play a part in that?
Yeah, because the kids,
young.
if you really show them, they're going to be playing all day long, or something like that. But, a lot of kids, they like, who just bake, start to learn to do something, and that will be the best way I can describe to, the parents, to teach them fresh and, homemade from scratch. So
do you have like classes for parents? Because parents, I would think, need to learn the basic things as well. What is healthy, like you're saying, going to the market, seasonal, purchasing seasonal fruits and vegetables.
A lot of parents, call me, ask me, for cooking class. So sometimes it can be women, for between girlfriends, or to cook for the husband when they go back home or something like that. But also because, they want to get better at what they do. They used to, pop a dish in a microwave. So now they say, well, I want to cook fresh fish, but what the best way to cook it, or different way to cook it, or the healthiest way to cook it. So that's why more and more people now watch food channel, buy books, or ask for like a chef to come to cook for them or teach them. So it's a big market now, and in the United States, but food, everybody loves to eat, so,
Yeah, and also there's a difference, right, on the quantities between like how French serve their food versus how we do here.
How can I describe in France? If you go to a restaurant in France, it's going to be like big plate and small food. It's going to be like the opposite when you come in US. So everybody wants a value for what they eat, but things start to turn around now. Or, if you're now in Charlotte, you can see there are more and more like upscale restaurants than it used to be. And a lot of chefs, what we try to do is to kind of like show the customer, different things and they're not used to it in the past. So, everything is about like trainings, like everything, and people get used to it. And so
really learning to have the small portions.
Portion control is everything. If you overeat, obesity is a big thing in the United States. Processed food, all this. The thing is, a lot of people they're so busy. That's the thing. In France, people are not as, I won't say hardworking like American, but Americans are like always working too much.
Yes.
So they don't have time. So, like I always say, you have fast food, but now let's try to do fast good. So that will be a good thing.
I like that. You have fast food and then try to do fast good. I like that.
So, you can, just with a simple salad or piece of fish, there are so many ways you can make it very tasty and very quick and, without to break the piggy bank. So
somebody like, if somebody wants to be a chef like you, what kind of, we understand the hardships as well. What kind of personality do they need to have?
Why you have to... You have to be, I think, mentally pretty strong, because when you are a chef,
mentally strong.
You will have deal with the customer. You will have to deal with your team. Somebody not showing up, somebody sick, with a food company or the food company shop and say, well, I'm out of this product, I'm out of this fish, and you have that on menu, so your customer is not happy because he doesn't get his favorite fish. And if you work for somebody else, you're going to have the owner say, hey, why I don't have this, why I don't have that. So, mentally, you have to be pretty strong. And like I say, a lot of passion, a lot of passion for what you do, and a lot of sacrifice, because many chefs, love life, it's pretty hard when you have a wife or kids, you spend so many time in a restaurant, you don't see your family as much like you want to, so.
Wow, that is very true. When it comes to not just the hardships of it, there's a mental aspect as well. Your personality to deal with hardships, deal with changes, become creative as needed, and also I would think criticism to make sure that you
that is always hard to take too, so what I realize also now is try to eat well, exercise a little bit, and when you do that, you kind of build, you feel so much better in your skin and everything.
Yes.
So you can, you feel less tired. Try to know, especially for a French chef, try to be a good mood. What is, pretty hard because we have the reputation to be, but that's the thing, try to eat well and try taking care of yourself,
Well,
so.
thank you. Thank you for sharing all that because this is so important. There's a lot of awareness to this, and thank you for being on our show.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And thank you for watching Charlotte, a city of international success. I'm Dr. Maha Gingrich. Please join us again next time.